Leesman. How are we doing, Jack?
I'm doing pretty well. I think you made a good choice as far as the zombie apocalypse goes, but I've never personally experienced it. I just think I will. It's going to be a good game.
Yep. Today we host a brawl between Team Dignitas and Immortals. Dignitas need to win here if they want to compete for playoffs.
Yeah, and with their loss to Cloud9 on Friday, eyes will be on Team Dignitas to bounce back and kind of take their playoff fate into their own hands. We have seen improvements from this roster as well, but their last match proved they still have issues with some of the coordination in mid and late game decisions. Yeah. Someday has been a great player all split, but it's kind of clear that the rest of the map getting ahead is more of a winning formula for Team Dignitas than just Someday. Otherwise, he doesn't seem to be able to solo carry the team to victory. So if this team can get multiple lanes rolling, Keen in particular, I think Dignitas could then earn their spot in the 2017 spring playoffs.
Seems like it could happen. We spoke as well the strength of schedules earlier in the season. Team Dignitas had to face a top team on Friday. Cloud9. Now they're against Immortals, who were left untested in their match against a shorthanded CLG.
Yeah, and Immortals' week kind of starts here. They did a good job yesterday taking care of business against an undermanned COG. But if we've learned anything from Immortals this year, it's that you never know which team is going to show up. And it's really important that the best version of Immortals show up today if they want to secure their spot in the playoffs.
It is. It really is. And Cody Sun showed some confidence coming into this matchup, despite Dignitas' hot streak in the previous weeks.
Dignitas have been playing really clean. Their macro play has been looking better and better. For me personally, I'm not really scared of their bottom lane. So, yeah, I think if we're able to just get a lead early game or just play off of a good early game, then we can just beat Dignitas.
He's hungry for that, licking his lips. He wants to get down in the bot lane. He is good to go. We saw that they had a great game yesterday, a confidence builder for them, but the stats have also been up for Cody Sun and Ole. We'll see if they can bring it into this matchup. As we start off, let's get into the roster rundown. We will be starting with Team Dignitas. That means it is Someday in the top lane, Chaser in the jungle, Keen in mid, Lod at bot, X-Special at support, and Cop coaching behind for picks and bans.
Yeah, this team had been on a tear up until the Cloud9 match, having won now 4 of their last 5. On the other side, though, is Immortals. We got Flame up in the top lane. The do-or-die carry a lot of the times is Jardok in the jungle, Pobelter in mid lane, Cody Sun and Ole in the bot lane with Coach Hermes.
We'll see how this one goes. Pobelter doing what he could to be, again, a top mid laner for the team. Always shows versatility in champion pools, but the team hasn't seemed to be able to come around a composition, if you will, to then kind of fit into the meta each time. They're floundering a bit when they do get a lead, and it doesn't seem like they can grasp one if they're behind.
Yeah, exactly. And even just looking at Immortals for their consistency this split, they have won back-to-back matches once all year long for a team that's nearly 500. It's mostly just been win and then lose, and then win and then lose, and then win and then lose. And they did win yesterday, so they need to be able to not have that influence them in an overconfident way and actually transition a couple of wins together.
So let's see what we have here to start off picks and bans. We're going to, Cody Sun will take a hit in the beginning. The AD carries might find a little bit of love here as jungle as well. Expect to see that Graves and possibly the Lulu ban. They're getting through a little bit more, but it's either Caitlyn or Lulu we see.
Yeah, absolutely right here. The Caitlyn has been something that Cody Sun has been so good with this year, so I understand why they're trying to ban that away. Maybe Laud wants to push this more in towards one of those Lucian-type matchups where you're having the more mobile, carry-focused marksman.
We see a Shen now from Dignitas. Flame has been playing quite a bit of Nautilus. Actually had some consecutive games on it just yesterday and played it to great effect. Hitting hooks, making his TPs count, something that Immortals has been able to lock on a little bit more as their timing of their TPs gain some control in play, so we'll keep a lock on that timing. Camille gets banned out as well, so no carry. That tank may just come in for Immortals for Flame.
Yeah, Shen and Camille banned on Team Dignitas' side. A lot of top lane target bans there. Wouldn't be too surprised to see an early Rumble pick, but the Lulu is also available, so this is becoming rather interesting as far as what is being pinched. You would expect the Lulu first pick, especially with the Malzahar ban, but it's also being a little bit forced there since Immortals did decide to ban on Malzahar.
Lots left up. Lulu is the priority, though. Allows Dignitas to get into some scary team fights later. Also have a pretty safe landing phase with basically whatever AD carry they choose. And a Flame thinking, like you said, that Rumble's there. Been a safe pick for top laners to get. And have an easy lane to get to that fight phase.
Yeah, Nautilus has been the most picked top laner for Flame this year. But they decide to leave that off the table for now. Interesting how they've locked in the Lee Sin already with just the Graves and the Rengar ban. But Dardoch, when he's grooving, strong on Lee Sin.
Day to day now, it becomes Lee Sin. Seems like he is cleaning it off, as it had a little dust on it from previous.
Yeah.
His plays yesterday as well, getting him in for Immortals. And really getting player of the game, I believe, twice in a row on that Lee Sin.
Yep, he did so. 13 kills in that second game against COG, but we have to point out that that was the Stixalis COG that had Aphromu playing as the bot laner. Very poor showing by COG yesterday, so Dardoch definitely cleaned up.
There's the Nautilus takeaway as well. If it were to be, Flame still has a big champion pool, but as we said, he played it twice. Someday gets that now, gets to be a nice tank in the top side. A little bit of kill pressure coming from now a Kha'Zix for Chaser in the jungle.
Yeah, that is coming together for Team Dignitas. They made sure they're locking into jungler before Immortals has the chance to target bans. Chaser, I feel like, has had most of his success on Lee Sin or Rengar, but Kha'Zix is his choice here. 6 plays, only won 2 of his 6 games so far this split, but one of the last junglers available.
Tank first tank. I've actually been seeing quite a few carries towards the top side. Not today, though. Maokai gets locked back in.
Yeah, I mean, that is interesting to me that Immortals is throwing Flame onto the Maokai, mainly for team fighting there, because we have seen a lot of Rumble picked into the Nautilus. However, not today. There were 8 Rumble plays by Flame so far this split. Did not want to have the potential of just the Nautilus into Kha'Zix ganks, which can become pretty snowbally if you do fall behind.
Also a bit of an extended fight in the end with somebody getting wild growth. It'd be nice to have Nautilus running around as well, being able to soak up some of the damage that continues to happen in the fights. I'm ready for that for these teams. 8-9, 8-9. Coming into this game, we were sitting in the read room. We're saying, who's going to win? And everybody's like, actually kind of like don't know. It's very up in the air here.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. They're both 8-9 on the split. Their game records are incredibly close. Immortals has one more game win than Team Dignitas does. Not to mention, they've both shown glimpses of really coming together as a team.
And then you kind of do the counting on your fingers. You're like, all right, well, Keen could go off. We're like, well, then Dardoch could go off. And you can go back and forth with those, too.
Cody Sun and Ole have been a lot better lately.
Yeah.
Oh, but, Dardoch carried yesterday. There's a lot of things that are going back and forth. Double mid lane bans by Dignitas and double marksman bans by Immortals.
Yep, second phase already done as they fly through. Cody Sun to Ezreal. They had that yesterday. Keeping the lane halfway in as they farmed it, and it's just skill shot lane. Trying to tag the back line with damage the whole time. Going to be annoying for Lodnik Special. We'll see how they answer. A little bit of their own.
Yeah, Varus, Jhin are both still up, so even though those are not the de facto marksman to go with, Laud has found a home with that Varus, it feels like. He builds the crit focus build now instead of the lethality usually for combination with Lulu can actually be very effective. I think Varus has strong attack speed scaling, which got heavily overlooked when everyone was just rushing the lethality and raw damage on him, so I think still a good pick.
Interesting choice. Keen feels comfortable in the Cassiopeia coming into this game. He's going to have pretty hard targets to hit. It's Dardoch, Cody Sun jumping around, shielded as well by Ole on that Karma. I feel like if it is going to be a fight phase that comes in here from both of these teams, you can just use that ultimate to set up Dignitas. Could it be the Talia? Been seeing a bit more of it lately. Must have been a resurgence in scrims because once more she gets locked in.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of Talia resurgence in the LCK over in Korea, but really in the North American LCS, it was yesterday that we started seeing a bunch of it. Pobelter had a good showing on it as well. Looking at the team compositions, though, the team fight prowess of Team Dignitas is huge. Keen's on his most played champion this split in the Cassiopeia. He's very comfortable on it. That, combined with the Varus and the huge tank line, plus the shields from Lulu, is just all cohesively working together. Whereas you look at the Immortals team, And while they do have okay team fighting, a lot more single target damage, a lot more of this is going to be about skirmishes and trying to snowball a lead from early game.
I don't think Dignitas want to leave anything to chance here. A win helps them get into the playoffs. Immortals here obviously still playing with the same pressure, but a little bit of life after a loss for them to still possibly get in. We'll talk about more of the story of their rankings as we get into this one. We still have 3 games to go, possibly. Coaches will head off. Last word said to the players. And we do see both junglers are going aggressive. Dardoch has had his very good early games as of recent, but we've seen Chaser do the same thing.
Yeah, Chaser has had a lot of highlight early game pathing wins. Last week, Dardoch struggled a little bit invading and getting invaded on, so the early game plan will be pretty critical. The fact that Immortals have the Maokai usually helps that team's jungler because of the sapling stack you can do at level 1. Interested to see if Dardoch makes a gain out of that.
All right, hashtag DIG win, hashtag IMT win. We are on to the Rift, and we will see if Dignitas can help themselves solidify a position closer to playoffs with a Game 1 win of this matchup. Week 9 already, absolutely crazy. So many things have happened, and teams have changed. Teams still changing due to turmoil in the end of the split or unfortunate circumstances, and still fighting for the top is the main thing you have to keep in your mind with all this pressure.
Yeah, playoffs are just so tight right now. So many teams coming into this last day at 8 and 9, and they're in the situation where a win gets them into the playoffs and a loss probably knocks them out of it. In Team Dignitas' case, this is a must-win. If Immortals loses, every game then starts to matter, and it's going to come down to those tiebreaker scenarios that Dash talked about on the analyst desk. But pretty much a must-win for both teams, because win and you're in.
Feels good. So much easier said than done.
Just win against a team that is equally matched. That's always the struggle.
Well, we do look for, in our pregame Sunday for the carry. Still can do it on NALCS if they get him going, but obviously not going to just crush the game. So obviously have to look to possibly Chaser going to Keen, as well as the bot lane playing quite safe to come out big in the end. Immortals, kind of the same thing. Dardoch going hard. You've seen Pobelter heavy on the roam once he hits that 6 and can divide a very good team fight. Could catapult Immortals right into the lead.
Yeah, I'm a little interested, actually, what just happened there. Because we talked about the sapling stacks before the game from the Maokai, being able to just put 3 saplings on Raptors to help the Lee Sin cleared fast. Flame started Q, and then walked over there and Q'd the Raptors, which is great, but I don't know why you wouldn't just start with the saplings, especially since they're not doing any type of cheesy top lane gank route. Chaser, though, with the level 2 gank.
Work ground gets put back. He gets actually shaken out of this one. Work ground as well as Pobelter moves to the bot side. He had not done that to the area. He gets another 5 shots from his volley. Nicely played and countered. Ghost is down, though, for him.
Yeah, and that's the lower cooldown Summoner spell. I feel like that's worth. Chaser took a pounding in that mid lane. He's going to actually recall instead of trying to jungle. And the reason he has to do this is because Dardoch could actually be doing an invade onto that side of the jungle. And Dardoch actually is, or sorry, Pobelter actually is checking that. So the early level 2 gank really does not pay off for Chaser here. And that puts him heavily behind in the jungle.
See if they add any pressure to Keen. He didn't have to blow any summoners for the engage. A ward down now for Pobelter is he can do that on Talia, getting that passive movement speed to the wall, in and out, hardly misses anything in the mid lane.
Yeah.
And Dardoch hover in that position to make sure there isn't any return as he heads back towards the top side.
Yeah, Dardoch staying out on the map as Lee Sin can do. A little bit of a modified route. He did 4 camps, starting with Raptors into a full side blue clear. Now he is taking his red buff, which should give him level 4. Yeah, he just pinged it. So that could very well be a gank top lane. Or an invade onto the blue buff. I want to check in on Dardoch here.
Yeah, he's got the ward on Pixel Brush to make sure any rotation from Keen can be stopped.
Oh my!
Special gets hit, the Ignite goes down. It's been run much more to the exhaust in that bot lane now, and the top fight goes on to Someday. Gets himself a minion wave to slalom through and gets himself to safety.
Yeah, Someday flashes away from that one. Chaser now trying to come up for a bit of a counter gank. Dardoch's got to be a little careful he doesn't completely leave Flame alone since Flame is just level 3, but Immortal seems pretty safe up there. The bottom lane, though, Cody Sun and Olay coming in huge. Now Pobelt, they're going to hope to add the icing on the cake. They know Lot's heal is down. He's got flash, though.
Might want to hold it in the last instance. He does. Good tank by Olay as the DPS can actually get their damage in, and they're out.
Well, this is the way Immortals wanted to start. We talked about Team Dignitas having this behemoth of a teamfight composition late game, and that Immortals going to have to jump ahead early. But this isn't even something that is expected to happen. Xpecial just moves forward for some harass, takes every skill shot. And I believe Lot actually healed after Xpecial died because he just got hit with such a burst of damage. Ignite came from Olay as well. Oof.
When you just want a few gold for Spell Thief proc,
Yeah.
it's good because the Glitter Lance is a barrage, so you get a bit more, but sometimes it costs you your life.
Yeah, in that case, the 12 gold you get from the early harass, not worth the 600 you give over to the enemy.
Yeah.
First blood.
5 minutes in here, marks being made by Immortals. Pobelts are already getting a roam to himself, so Keen has been kind of pushed back. May not get pressure back from Chaser. That's not a for sure. But with Pobelts are getting a kill outside the lane, that does not help whatsoever. More pressure here towards the bot.
Oh dear. He has flash.
Oh, it's a big part of the wall. Great shield as he just gets over. Should not burn down. Flash from Olay.
They kind of want to die, but they got to be careful.
There. Sonic Wave to Olay. Does it give him room to get over to Lod? No. Dardoch a little too deep as the tank goes to Cody Sun. He's forced to get out of range, and Immortals turn their advantage into a bit of greed.
Yeah, and plays like that have kind of been Immortals' Achilles heel this split. The blind aggression, where you know that, yes, if Lod and Xpecial are alone there, that you can make that play, but that play was about a 15-second long engagement by Dardoch, which gives so much potential time for Chaser to run down there for a counter gank, which eventually happened, or even in a different scenario someday to teleport down. Those are the plays that, you know, there are so many things that could make it go bad, yet Immortals go for it anyway.
We'll see it one more time.
The beginning of it is great. They're expecting them to go get word control, but you harass him low and burn his flash, you're done. The wave is frozen against them. Lot has to back, and this now becomes an unwinnable lane for Team Dignitas because they would have a 2-level advantage on the marksman, but instead, they chase for a kill while a huge minion wave is sitting there and feed a lot of the advantage back. So that was Immortals' chance to really break open the early game, and they flopped it.
Gets the resolve to a little inner flame. Olay still staying up front, and this is what Immortals did with this composition yesterday, is keep that minion wave where it is as it piles up and be able to hit them with those Qs from both Cody Sun and Olay. Chaser getting a little bit of love down on the Raptors top side since he saw Dardoch bottom. But he knows he needs to move quick as they don't have too much vision down there to see where he's coming from. Teleport, use top. Someday he's going to have an advantage with that.
Yeah, that is pretty solid for Team Dignitas. Flame rushed Mercury Tread, so he's not going to have huge presence in pushing out that lane. I really just have to speak to Chaser as well. Because of the turnaround they were able to make in the bottom side, he now has ward control of Immortals jungle as well. And cannot understate what a hole Team Dignitas was in. From the level 2 gank that went bad for Chaser to put him down basically an entire quadrant, into the experience and summoner spell disadvantage they were eating in the bottom side. This game could have just totally snowballed into one of those massive 4,000 or 5,000 goldies, but it has not. So Team Dignitas barely holding on here.
And it was a good time to stop it. 6 comes up for a lot of people. With an advantage, Pobelter can do much easier. Uses Weaver's Wall to start these fights. Dardoch still feels like they have an upper hand towards this bot side of the jungle. They're going to start warding up to make sure this Infernal can be theirs.
Yeah, and they really do want to feast on that bottom lane. Xpecial and Laud without summoner spells for the most part, still no ultimates. If Dardoch and Pobelter could have found a good roam down there that they felt safe about, they're going to pull that trigger almost immediately.
Looks like Keen's happy to farm in the mid lane. Obviously not going to have the same roam Pobelter will, so the team knows Keen, farm it up, stack that tier, see him in a little bit. Everybody else can mostly play safe with Xpecial on Lulu. 6 is almost coming around to that bot lane though. Cody Sun just hit it, Olay should be close. So that means Dignitas might be a few waves back.
Yeah, I mean the bottom lane is still in a very rough position. A dagger, a Dorns, and a Cull for Laud.
Yep.
So this means that Immortals can move for that Infernal Grade pretty safely.
Someday teleported back to lane. We won't see the top laners on this. And that's a pretty even lane altogether. So tanks will be able to do their job coming into the mid-late game. It's about what continues to happen here in the bottom. Doesn't look like Dardoch has really left this side of the jungle too much. Now that Xpecial may be getting 6 soon, that could all change.
Yeah, that's going to prevent a lot of the aggressive plays that Immortals will be able to pull off. Pobelter, with some of the attempted roams bottom side, has fallen back in CS to Keen. So despite the very shaky opening, Team Dignitas, I feel like, are getting a little bit recovered from that and can still enter teamfight phase on close to even ground.
See if Dignitas uses this time to clear the wards on the bot side that Immortals has gotten. Should see a special go to do that soon. Blue buff to Pobelter just means cleared waves for him. He's not really doing too much until he sees Dardoch in his lane, or they can solidify a kill as we saw on bot side. Keen gets his first blue. Tyr will stack a little bit faster without Keen having too troublesome of a game. I feel like he could be a huge factor we just have not seen yet. Cassiopeia can always explode as we get to that late game.
I absolutely agree, especially if you're able to get standard team fights. Cassiopeia is one of those, I used to call them marksman-like mages back when the auto-attack marksman was super common, but it's one of those things that if you just are able to stand still and fire, your DPS is so high that you're going to carry the team fights, and if no one can access you to shut you down and stop you from just rattling off your spells, you will carry the team fight. So they're kind of set up to do that. The backline access of Immortals is pretty much just Dardoch trying to make a huge play to kick back, because they don't have kind of an assassin type on their team that could deal with the Cassiopeia, which is why Team Dignitas should feel pretty good. You know, if they could see the actual gold in the game, they'd be like, oh, great, we're only down 200 gold, because it's going to be a little strange now knowing how far behind their bottom lane was. But to look at the CS in the middle of the top lane and realize they're doing all right.
Yeah. At that moment, it doesn't feel like it's too close with all the parties that have happened down there. Someday did decide to stay, but he's also playing this, I'd say, semi-safe. He's still being a little aggressive. Finds it, flashes in front, the kick. The flash really to try to get that anchor toss out and make sure Dardoch can't as well. So it plays and works out.
Yep, Dardoch trying to preempt the flash. Doesn't quite get it, so Someday, again, has a flash burned by a Dardoch gank, but as long as he keeps his CS up, as Nautilus does generally push in the Maokai, if he's not down to the ganks, it's still an advantage and a win for Team Dignitas. Very little bit of ward coverage.
If they can get this cannon up to the turret, if it's healthy, they may try to take down Pobelter. Going straight in, wild growth immediately, so he can't react into polymorph. It was no reaction could be had except for summoner spells.
Yeah, love the vision toggle there by the observers.
Oh, that
show how little they could see.
Oh, gets the last shield down. Help picks isn't going to be enough. Doesn't try to draw them to Keen though. Pulls them up towards the turret. Hopefully Keen can get away with that play from Xpecial. Nice guy by him to draw Immortals up. Immortals Ole almost still picking up that kill.
Yeah, and a bit of a lack of vision coverage by both teams enabled that play, because Team Dignitas was able to sneak 3 people in around the back of Pobelter's turret, and he was none the wiser. But then the counter roam came through. Ole and Dardoch were able to get a kill on the backside. So that does help Keen. Keeps him pushing and keeps Pobelter down in experience, but it's split back by Immortals. Oh, somebody's got no flash anymore. Troublesome.
Goes for what he can. He'll have Chaser close, but really this only gives him information of where Dardoch is. Unfortunately, they cannot act on it. Dardoch flashed down, still able to pick up a play for himself. We'll see this setup once again. Real fast reaction.
Yep, Xpecial very ambitious on that play. Flashes and Wild Growth probably could have just cast the Wild Growth on Chaser. The range on that spell is huge. And then, since he has no flash and no Wild Growth for himself, he's very vulnerable to Cody's Sun and Dardoch. Flashing for the kill secure. And then Keen saves his flash, heals to get behind the minion, and makes it so the Sonic Wave can't connect from Dardoch at the end.
Item completions for Pobelter. Gets him a bit more magic resist than Morello Namakan. Keen, Abyssal Scepter finished. Recurve Bow now in the hands of Lod. Attack speed with attack speed for more attack speed with Varus' little update.
Yeah, I feel like he's eventually going to be going Hurricane Infinity Edge.
Yep.
A lot of people will do the Blade of the Rune King first into the Hurricane, but I've seen Law do this build a couple of times now. I don't like the way he gets there. He, in one of the games, he had 6,000 gold worth of components without actually a fully upgraded item. But he'll get there. Just take some time.
Roam down, see if they can control this bot side of the jungle or find an opening. You got 30 seconds on a Cloud Drake that Pobelter would like to get fly around the map. Also, Immortals will be able to control the second Drake that we have here. So, push back onto Dignitas. No, yeah, there is teleport up actually for Flame and Someday. I thought they were just waiting on a few more seconds, so we actually may get quite a fight here.
Counter gank.
Bit of isolation on him and is able to take him out very fast. Immortals is definitely going to have to pull an audible on this one. The teleport comes in. Flame is waiting on this as the team says, we're going to try to get out. Do not assist. Now it's on to Ole. The anchor toss could still come through. Shots from Someday are going to be the finalizing ones with an assist to Lod and Xpecial as Immortals goes hard on the bot lane once again.
Yeah, and that one was just another fairly easy counter gank for Chaser. Good on him for being in the right spot, but they had wards. Actually, no, that was all Immortals wards littering the red side jungle. So Immortals tried to set up that with wards, but they weren't accounting for the teleport from Someday, and he just got jumped on. Look out!
Oh, hello. That's... Oh, when you just dive a turret, you dive a turret. Pobelter keeps himself alive. Ghost comes up at the last moment for him. His flash is down, so he had to play that one fancy feat.
Well, so a lot of overreaching happening there.
Yeah.
By both of these teams currently. Keen thought he had the ability to just crush Pobelter under his own turret, but does not dodge the seismic shove from Pobelter. And then likewise on the bottom side, you know, at best it's a 3v2 gank that he's blast coning blindly over the wall, and at worst it's what we saw. So we're going to see the solo kill attempt by Keen here. All flash to get the stun, but he's in turret range the whole time, and then right there, getting the seismic shove by Pobelter saves him with dangerous game as well as a level up.
It's so dangerous.
A very dangerous game.
So, a mismatch now on the teleports. Someday did come up with a play, but this now leaves an option if Immortals has the upper hand. At the moment, backs against the wall. Top turret being pushed in, and a bit of a rotation here. Gonna have to be careful the speed Ole can provide to the team as they mantra shield themselves around the map. Dignitas backs off. Looks to clear some of these wards.
Yeah, the gold is definitely evened out here, and because Team Dignitas got that first turret in the bot side, it gives them the gold lead. But they are sitting very pretty right now, even though the gold looks so much closer, just because I feel like the Talia, Ezreal specifically, very much wanted to kind of get that snowball going in the bot lane and did not. But here we go, they're trying another play in the river.
I'm trying to get Ole to get a fight with the Rift Herald onto Dardoch. Big damage to start things off, but now Dignitas has been grouped up and Immortals gets to take another look. Cody Sun taking damage from Chaser. Turned around, that's going to be Pobelter that falls. Immortals Flame in the front and the tank falls fast. That does not spell good things for the rest of the members of Immortals. And Dignitas kite that back a little bit before taking the fight once more.
Yeah, and Immortals have one speed. And when they're falling behind, they don't know how to slow down for the corners and curves of some of these complex, close games. So they just bash their head into the river right there. And Team Dignitas countered it properly. I mean, Keen was able to enter from the side of the fight with almost no threat, get free hits on Cassiopeia through. Laud was shielded well by the Lulu throughout the whole game, and they're starting to break this game open.
Mid turret's going to go down. These wards will slowly encroach further into the jungle for Dignitas. And the Immortals starting off very, very early with ganks in the bot side now find themselves kind of chaotic in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, they can get all 5 people in one place fairly quickly with the Maokai teleport, as well as the Talia being in the game, but they just don't actually find access to the targets they need access to. Laud takes very little poke throughout the fight. Most of it is focused on Someday, and then everyone just has to bail out the back of the pit, except for the dude that can't jump.
Ole was in there the whole time, making friends with the Rift Herald. So, Cloud Drake goes over to Immortals. They quickly get themselves back onto the map. Keep some objectives in their favor, hopefully to assist later in the game as they can stack those up. A lot of damage as Laud is getting himself in a pretty good position here, even though the wild growth onto Someday, Dignitas is keeping themselves in range to do continuous DPS with this team.
Yeah, Hurricane completed Infinity Edge on the way. He'll be turning on pretty shortly. Lulu definitely accelerates that speed if he can get the picks on him for the added damage on hit.
See what Someday can do here in the mid lane. Saying, hey guys, I got a pole belter stretched out a little bit. We may be able to go on him.
This guy flashed last fight. Let's press a button on him and see if we can burst him down. But they don't actually have the vision.
And Immortal's playing very careful. Dardoch kind of on a solo mission towards the bot Krugs. Saying, I'm going to pick up everything I can here. The map is a little too wide open for Dignitas to use. No real lanes other than Flames is pushed up to be farmed here. So Dardoch doing what he can to add vision and keep himself strong in this game.
Yeah, Dardoch wasn't afraid of Baron because it wasn't up yet, so he just kind of felt free to go down there. But they've kind of lost control of the upper side of their map. So even that Krug steal potentially was kind of risky. And you can even see Pobelter backing away from the turret, being like, I actually don't feel safe pushing this. Yet he had a teammate way deeper than that just a few minutes ago for some little baby Krugs. This is a lot of risks being taken by Immortals, and at this point, Team Dignitas just got to get that vision control and force Baron, which has been disastrous as recently as Friday.
In a way, it becomes a little easier for Immortals, you can see, as they have the Talia on their side. The wards are easier to place. If they do try to do something in the river, they need to have wards all the way into Dignitas' jungle to figure out where Pole Belter is actually going to be blocking off going. You don't know who you're separating on the other side of the wall if they can just kind of hop around something like here in mid where Keen is. Wards necessary. We've always heard vision is power. Set up a little bit of that. Ooh! Keen flying forward to get a play for himself, just gets caught out.
Yeah, Dardoch made the play right there. We might have to get a replay, but it looks like he expended his flash and his kick.
Yeah.
So that's the pick potential that Lee Sin has. Dardoch making good use of that, and that will help Immortals kind of get these waves under control. Just from Fog of War, over the wall, kick flash as soon as he lands the Q. So as soon as the Q hits, Dardoch had that kill.
There's the moments you feel kind of lulled into a false sense of security because Someday was just sitting in that brush with the rest of the team waiting to kill Pole Belter, and the next time you look, everybody's walked away, and Someday's actually way below you, warding up.
Like, wait, everyone was next to me. What happened?
That's what it seems like. Dardoch flying out and taking advantage of that. Pole Belter now to start a split on the top lane so they can get this last turret down here. It looks like Flame did get stopped on his attempt to take down the bot side. A little pressure though. Ulti starts, so Pole Belter can't react right away to the area he has to work the ground. Gets worked himself. Chaser comes up with another kill. Does blow flash to grab him.
Pole Belter really wanted to get that turret, and he would have had a chance to counter Chaser if he would have landed his seismic shove. But he did not, unfortunately, so Chaser just ran him down and killed him.
Dardoch looking for another possible play, knowing where Chaser was. They could have gotten some damage onto his special, and he could easily get himself out. Something I always enjoyed about Dardoch's Lee Sin is, well, it does go crazy sometimes and get him into trouble. He'll always, if he can say, probably half health that support real quick and get out. He tries to do it.
Yeah, he definitely tries to push his limits as much as possible. And that's been the balancing act. Really, you know, we say this year, but it was true last year as well when he was on Team Liquid. He has those massive standout performances, but does not find the consistency. And I think a lot of that does just come down to the mentality of the player and the risks you're willing to take. So when they work, you look better than anyone else, but that's because a lot of the more level-headed, consistent junglers aren't willing to take the risks that get you ahead often because of the cost that occasionally happens. And we saw that a few times this game, specifically in the bot lane, getting caught behind that Team Dignitas turret, accounting for both of his deaths.
It was interesting. Irene and I were talking about yesterday a little bit. It's kind of the star power, and then as well your confidence to go in, because the plays need to work for the star power to build, but then the confidence also falls behind that. So you're either making negative star power or good star power. Here, Dardoch has been able to shine a little bit in this game, as his Lee Sin has been playing well this week. 8-6, as Dignitas still firing back hard with the aggression Dardoch was able to put on early. Chaser now doing a bit of work in the game. Lod has picked up kills as the lanes opened up. And a few teleport plays have turned the tides of what was going down against Dignitas in the bot lane, and that's where we are now. Baron is up. Seems like both teams want to jockey for it, but I feel like both would just take too much damage going, so they know they're faking.
Yeah.
This is a bluff.
Exactly. No Mountain Drakes have been taken off the map. None of them have spawned. Cloud Drake will be the next one up in 20 seconds, so no one with insane Baron killing in this game. That being said, Kha'Zix Cassiopeia kills it pretty quick, so Team Dignitas still has a fair amount of Baron threat, but I think they'd rather get a team fight around the Baron pit that they can start with a Nautilus ultimate.
Down towards bot. Next Cloud Drake. Would be nice to actually keep a second one off the feet of Immortals, if you will. You don't want Dardoch being able to catch up any faster to make these plays. Now they can start pushing in a little bit of safety here for Someday. He finally gets that lane away from the turret, which is prepped up quite nicely. If you look at Dignitas' 2 outer turrets, Immortals can, with one quick play, take both mid and bot down.
Yeah, absolutely. The gold is staying pretty close as well. So any little thing could swing the game. Team Dignitas still being okay to play it slow, though, because I feel like they should have the confidence of the Varus Cassiopeia late game. As long as they can control Dardoch, which with the Cassiopeia they should be able to do. If he lands a Q, you can throw a Miasma down on yourself. And as soon as he's on that, he can't flash or ward hop off of it to make a quick play.
That's a very good point. Probably makes Keen feel pretty safe knowing Dardoch put his Lee Sin in this game and has that ability to get in and out.
Classic Immortals. They're actually sneaking this down pretty cleanly.
It was only just a few moments ago this area was completely warded and basically owned by Dignitas. The moment it's not, Immortals act.
Dardoch's kind of laughing about that one. They snuck that one away. Team Dignitas moved down for Cloud Drake, then recalled, and was very lackadaisical about their control over the Baron pit. They had no wards, no vision. Wow, and not even a fast Baron killing team take it down with the 3-man 25-minute Baron. So good call by Immortals because it worked, and now they're close into the game.
Having to act fast, and now they can use Barons on the side, or Baron minions, I should say, in those sideways. Looks like they still leave it up to Flame. We're going to see how much Dignitas actually wants to push these waves out. They say, all right, push them out. We can come around you. A few wards behind. Dig knows they have to stay safe. Nicely done. Another 2 minutes, 45 seconds onto this. Quicksilver Sash, we can see Muramana finished up by Cody's son as he can now provide damage and take Keen out of his element if he gets stunned up.
Yeah, I mean, he still has that 60 CS lead over Log, so it is still a fed Ezreal. He's 1,000 gold up despite having 2 fewer kills. And Riv, this game has been a roller coaster with Immortals seemingly having the chance to snowball it early, not doing that, throwing it back a little bit to Team Dignitas, and then Team Dignitas with the great team fighting team letting their vision fall around Baron so Immortals can get the Baron.
And Immortals can definitely look back at those 2 engages. One, in the bot lane, they had completely warded, right? We saw the Blast Cone used by Dardoch, but even the wards didn't allow the play to come out clean. The one before that was actually a pretty big error, so they've had both sides of the story as they went to the bot lane and tried to get things to work out. Dignitas now gaining a bit of a lead on that, but like you said, roller coaster is Immortals, Baron, and push back. Mid lane could be falling just as fast now, and the Weaver's Wall may be coming out a little bit more to separate these fights, and Immortals has some room to play with.
Yep, equalize the turrets, 3-3. There's actually a 1 Drake lead by Immortals right now. I still favor the team fighting of Team Dignitas in this one, but definitely doing a good job to stay in it. Well, where's this Weaver's Wall going? Who are they cutting off? It's the Nautilus. He can flash if he wants.
A bit more vision. Still a turret there that you have to respect, but they can stay here for quite a bit of time. They know they're not getting flanked. Someday's right in front of him, so they're in the teleport lane. Immortals is here to play, and they got top in their favor.
Immortals have got to be really careful here. If that hook would have landed from Someday, Team Dignitas would have pressed go. Immortals is hoping to get something with this minion wave, but it's too dangerous to stay down there.
Looking for a few pokes with Mystic shots if possible. Some sapling vision as they use each other's skills for sentries. And the bot turret will fall. It's a forced Dignitas to spread themselves thin here on the outer 3 turrets. That bot in mid just fell. This Baron is pretty big now for Immortals.
Yeah, overall the Baron power play puts them above Team Dignitas by 1,000 gold. There was a huge minion wave that crashed into the top lane there. I don't think that minion wave would have actually killed the turret, but Team Dignitas did opt to spread themselves thin in that situation. Pick up the farm at the cost of the turret. Because they could have defended that bottom lane turret 5v5, I think, somewhat indefinitely in this situation since the game was so close.
This becomes scary. You can see how much Dig was pushed back for those 2 turret takes. Now they're just kind of resurfacing. Have to get these wards out. Their jungle is littered on that bot side with just Immortal's vision. You can see the assist ping saying, hey, we need to go a little bit forward, but we need the whole team to be there.
Yeah, this is where the game's mistakes have more permanence as well, since the death timers are longer and generally the swing is also larger.
It's such an advantage, too, for a situation like Immortals, because you can sit in a bush with 3 people and look for that fight, right? They're forced to find vision now to actually stop this snowball. Yeah, must feel like a good position.
One of the tricks will be not walking on any wards. While Immortals does have a control ward in everyone's inventory, they're still with the 1 sweeper on Ole. Dardoch has opted to keep his yellow trinket. That means he's getting the tracker knife wards to jump to as well as the yellow trinket wards to jump to. Not too uncommon for these Sins, but it definitely does make it harder to starve the enemy of vision. Not having that second sweeper that Chaser just cleared 2 wards with, for example.
More?
Maybe more? No.
These fights become much more pivotal. Like you said, the permanence of losing them becomes real. Inhibitor turrets could go down. This is a chance Dignitas now has outside their base. The minions are pushed.
Well,
everybody gets divided on the Weaver's wall. That was a little anticlimactic, but it's all right. They get the dragon and head out. Immortals play that one very smart.
Yeah, exactly. Immortals do well to optimize a small advantage and not go too far on. They Weaver's wall because they had a slight position left. They don't try and force a fight. They take what they came for, and then they still make it back up to defend that turret. Nice play by Immortals.
They have free time to rotate towards top 2. A little bit more safety in the people they're using to roam as well. Very slippery escapes by Dardoch and Cody's son if they can make their way around a little easier. And now a 2k gold lead, just about 1.6 actually, as Baron is up in 1 minute. Elder Drake as well. And we find that during its spawn. A lot of the control wards are focused to the bot side. You'll see those move top quite soon for Baron.
Yep. Those 4 control wards we saw in Immortals' inventory have been placed. Yep. Ole's still sitting on 3, so a lot of ability to move that for him. But until the next set of recalls, Immortals generally won't be moving those control wards in.
Gotta feel nice. Not a bit of money. Ardent Sensor for him. Nice shields and heals that he'll be given off for some people.
Yeah, it's interesting that he rushed the Ardent Sensor. It does have the same type of heal and shield amp that the Redemption will give you, but not having Redemption definitely changes your goals in these team fights. They generally don't want to be clumping up Redemption anyway, but you still see Redemption in almost every situation, so kind of surprised we're not seeing one out of Ole.
And there it is, bot side, vision gone. Team moves together here. Seems like they want an engage, but Vlad a little too far back clearing the minion wave, so it's just really Sunday peeking around the corner, trying to figure out what he can find. Flame pushing bot lane. Top just got a ping. They say if we can still hover top, have Flame pressure bottom, Baron is also ours to jockey for. So it looks like we're going to see Immortals start to work this one by the book.
Yeah, both top laners holding teleport as well, so
yeah, you're right.
They can make those bottom lanes shove back and forth with a decent amount of safety, but I mean, this is a game where Immortals has already stolen a Baron, so there's kind of a fight that may be imminent if somebody can find an in.
Very smart control word went down on the bottom. Flame almost had a flank for himself. Dignitas' backline almost became the front line. They moved themselves up towards the top. They know they need to get through the jungle safely. That won't be a problem, but clearing wards along the way could leave them as the caboose that gets engaged on. Here they say, all right, Chaser gets the top side. You got to have Vlad in the mid lane with Lulu to clear, and they do that.
game can still break either way, as it's been pretty back and forth to this point. Immortals have tended to throw themselves in.
The trap.
Pobelter spotted.
The trap. Oh, Special gets hit. Where's the Wild Growth going? Gonna throw that onto Nautilus. Chaser now coming in from the side. Only has Flame to hit as his target, so he can't deal too much damage right away. Dardoch taking shots from Lot. His focus is true, and he has not changed his sight. Now onto Flame. They are able to drop the tank, and it's the GA. If Immortals can't fight behind that, how are they going to take these fights? Flame goes down, 3 members of Immortals on the ground.
It's the big fight that Team Dignitas had been waiting for. And what were we talking about? About vision denial and having the one sweeper and not being able to move their control wards. All those things hurt them there as Pobelter was spotted and picked at the start of that fight, giving them an even lower chance of winning it.
Baits them into their own trap. We'll see it again. And it was just the one lonely ward.
Flame and Cody thought they were baiting Someday, but Someday played that beautifully. Laud and Chaser eliminate Pobelter on the side of the fight. And then from there, it's just an Ezreal as the main damage dealer. Everyone still tries to fly into Keen, but it's the Lulu and the Redemption, and he barely gets touched after he pops his Seraph's Brace Shield to boot. So, a pretty solid fight win by Team Dignitas after the bait switcheroo there at the very end. The damage from Laud is sneaking up on everyone because he completed the Infinity Edge as well as the 2 Zeal items, Hurricane and Phantom Dancer. Add that to the Lulu and you have yourself an actual hyper carry in the Varus.
Yeah, the arrows, the pickaxe, some masonry work on the wall that is Flame that fight. Yeah, you get to shoot for a while, and now they're up to the mid lane, Baron for themselves here as the roller coaster swings back the other way. I like ones that go back and forth. It's fun.
Yeah.
You never know when it's going to end.
Not just one huge climb and then you're done. Actually, that's how most games go. You never even get the drop.
That's right.
Those are called elevators or escalators, not roller coasters. Yeah, this one has been definitely worth the price of admission.
All right. Okay. Little tank left for Flame. They say the GA's down. We took him down pretty fast last time. Let's make it happen just as fast this time. They get him to back off. Flash is down, so that's no twisted advance. Flash for him to start it up. Someday still on the front line. Oh, gets that, but the anchor toss goes away with the arcane shift.
Yeah, Laud chipping away at that turret. Not great wave clear by Immortals as well. Here comes Dardoch.
Has to be careful.
Doesn't get it.
Knows he jumps right into the crowd control of Someday. That can follow up again for the rest of the team. Redemption comes down. Someday hooks his left foot in so he can get that heal. And now Flame looking. Remember, there's no flash here to get to the back line. He's got to work with the front. And he says he doesn't want anything. That's also Flame's teleport to put him there. So not engage.
Yeah, both Guardian Angels now on cooldown for Immortals. Dardoch used his there pretty much in defense of the turret. But this is interesting now. Elder Drake spawning now. Kha'Zix and Nautilus running from base. Dardoch still low without GA. They would not be able to burst this in time. They wanted to, but they realized it's not the right call.
They go for the scuttle as quick as they can. Say, Cody-san, be careful. Grab it. Get out. Giving us that shrine vision. Still didn't.
Yeah, they would have really loved to get the Scuttle Crab just for the guaranteed vision in the area as well as the haste if they do end up fighting down there, as Dardoch has been able to heal. Team Dignitas can kill this actually really quickly. Looks like they will. Control Ward locks out the vision and Immortals cannot check.
As much as we saw Team Dignitas getting pushed in, getting routed with vision, the Baron taken by Immortals, they have kept the members on the map that have been getting that gold advantage. Chaser has not fallen yet. Laud only died that one time, and he has been able to pick up some great kills from the backside with the protection Dig has been able to offer. And now they move once again down towards bot with the map objective free. They're going to start working around the last turrets.
Yeah, and Immortals will need to get a pretty remarkable initiation, I feel like, to win this, since the shielding will also come through from Xpecial. They need to be able to kick Keener Laud into the turret. Pretty tall task since Dardoch has no GA and no flash currently.
This becomes the scary part, the hesitation of being able to get into the base. And knowing that obviously Immortal still has quite a strong fight, and it may come down to, once again, taunting a team at the Baron and making sure you get more poke before the fight starts, or at least a flank that works for you in the sense of Immortals.
Yeah. I was a little surprised to see Team Dignitas not try more with their Elder Dragon. But they do just have the one Cloud Drake, so not a massive power. More just getting it off the map, so Immortals can't have it. They also were sitting on 2,900 gold in Laud's inventory. He went back and picked up a Bloodthirster, which in this case, I think I like. Even though Blade of the Ruined King would have been a higher DPS option, the Bloodthirster Overshield will most likely help him a lot as kind of critical massive shielding when you add that with X Special to make it so he doesn't die if he does get kicked in. That's the hope, at least.
He also has 2 point, basically attack speed.
Yeah, and it
0.0 rather.
Gets much higher when his passive goes off as well. Kills specifically.
Yeah, 2.23, we actually just saw it there pop up. So almost at the max. You're just firing out shots, and then the on hit. It's going to sting. Get those crits. Oh. They're going to back off. He's perfectly fine. Chaser
Hey,
is also fine. Yep. I'm going to say, do you want some vision? But he's just going to jump himself out. So Ole backing, and the rest of the team of Immortals should be told to play safe here. Ward slowly moving in for Dignitas, but they have yet now to get back up without the Baron. And even with that Elder Drake to the inhibitor turrets, they seem to have lost a little confidence.
It looks like we have about a minute and a half to kill before the next objective of relevance comes up. Baron is spawning in around that time, and it's until then just a matter of getting your waves pushing in the right direction and getting vision control. Team Dignitas does back off here, which kind of allows Immortals to get vision where they want, but it's still going to be Team Dignitas scouting forward and trying to get the picks around that objective.
It's going to be interesting. I'm trying to see, like, where are all those vision wards, the control wards, in the full inventories of Dignitas? They're not. That's just 2 for X Special. So if their control ward is cleared, they're forced to try and get the permanent vision back in.
You can't buy them anymore unless you're selling items just for control ward spots. Doran's Ring still with Keen. Sometimes you could say that should be a control ward spot, but beyond that, I really like having the tank and the raw damage power, which simplifies the game a little bit for Team Dignitas. They just need to make sure Someday is running around the front and then going for fights that way.
Almost onto Flame. They said we would have taken it. He was also the last one. Put down the most damage before Immortals reacts. They're trying to go for the little bits of damage here. That last engage they can get when Immortals thinks they're out. Dignitas won't take the full fight, though. I don't blame them. It's getting pretty scary here.
Yeah. They would rather be able to use Baron as a bait to pull people into that area. Laud's in the top lane, though, which is why Dardoch wants to make the move, and it's a push and pull. You want to make sure you have all 5 people there if you're going to be going for this fight. Gotta remember, 42 minutes into this game 1, these teams both 8 and 9 in the standings.
Yeah.
The whole season, in a sense, kind of comes down to this match.
Dignitas, a win with playoffs on the horizon. Immortals really wanting to lock in these games to make sure there isn't any guessing game.
Yeah. Win and they are in, as far as playoffs are concerned. Game 1 puts them in great position to close out the series. Team Dignitas definitely holding the upper hand in this push and pull as their team fight is much stronger and they hold the gold lead in this game.
Now feel a bit confidence to go in. They have moved their wards forward. I know they would need a for sure way in. We wondered if Someday would be the carry, but Someday is the catalyst right now for how they continue to get into these fights. So Dignitas switched up a bit, look for carry from Chaser and Laud this game. Seems to be coming together. If the team can continue to get around them, it seems to stop Immortals. Teleports up for Flame as he clears the bot side. He still could get a great divided fight by Pole Belter if he needs to start one.
Dardoch just trying to keep the vision there for Immortals as Flame, the normal guy you'd want checking those spots, was on wave clear duty, being the only one to teleport that could join, but this vision is slowly getting starved. The critical thing here for Team Dignitas is not to let their pressure drop.
Yep. Those control wards are now gone. Waiting for only sweepers to know where Immortals' wards are at this point in the game. You can see they resolve themselves down now towards the mid lane, and they can still be seen by a ward passing through those minions.
Yeah, and in this case, Immortals having the ward ability is more important than them having the ward clearance, since they are not necessarily trying to start vision. They're just trying to make sure Team Dignitas can't control it. And that's the trick, right? At 44 minutes, it has been a struggle for Team Dignitas getting the right type of Baron forcing down. We're seeing them struggle with that right now. But it is exacerbated by the fact that most of the inventories are full, and there's now only 2 people that are even really eligible for the control wards. I would have wanted Keen to sell that Doran's ring and buy some control wards, but
blinging.
He does not. He would have been number 3 to buy the control wards, and that would have definitely helped them clear out vision.
Powering through.
And Chaser doesn't even come back with one, so...
And they double swept just now as well.
Come on, guys! You're not helping your case here as far as denying vision.
They have a few to get in this time. They still have that sight. And one more scrying, or I should say far sight, rather, to make sure they can keep themselves safe. Moving back towards the mid lane. We've known Dignitas to do this in the past as well. Back and forth a bit, dance it out, and then try to push that wave down the mid lane. Immortals has been doing a great job at keeping that cleared, so Keen and the rest of the team can't take that direction.
Yeah, and Immortals is just staying around as long as they can before Team Dignitas can make a move. They have no incentive to do anything if Team Dignitas can't control this Baron. And
we get another one of those timer match. It's been how long since something happened?
I mean, these trinkets are on 65-second cooldowns. They use both of them at once, and they have one dude that has control wards. They can't actually win the vision war there. So that's why they're pushed back to
it's almost like you're
again.
Playing against a bunch of Rangars. You never know where they are. You always want to play safe. But they're not Rangars. You just can't see them. Is the cat there? Is the cat not there? We've talked about this. Flame gets engaged on. And he's going to be pretty safe for now. He's got 1.5 lives left. And looks like Dignitas stopped that fight. Ultimate for Flame will be up quite quick. So no worries there. And summoner spells are there to be used for everybody on the Rift.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that even Flame on one of the most potent tanks in the game still doesn't stay alive very long just against Cassiopeia, who hasn't even completed the last major item. So the team fight damage is there for Team Dignitas if they can find it. At this point, it's almost guerrilla warfare for Immortals trying to pick one person off and
that is true. Never
really be locked down.
In and out, in and out. Ooh! Caught the lilac brush just on the edge of the wall. Unfortunate. Back to the top. Oh, that's going to sting.
Smart once again, Cody's son. Or it was someone had hit the Baron to anger it and prevent that ward from being
Might even be inclined to say, sorry, teammate.
Yeah, it might have
Unless it was Dardoch. I didn't see the eye above it. Now we are on to that Baron, though. And we are off of it. Bot lane, gigantic. Looks like somebody's going to pick up a lottery down there and then join the team through teleport once they see him on that wave.
And this is very risky by Immortals. They had been playing this game of cat and mouse, but I do not think they can rush this in time. And now they're just taking themselves low for the upcoming fight. Weaver's Wall does cut off people, though. Chaser would have to leap in right now.
2,300 health. He sees it. It's not going to be taken. Cody's son grabs it. Very low Chaser in the front of the fight. The team backs off. Chaser gets the wild growth, and now they're looking for 2 that can get over the wall. A flash by Ole and Cody's son as we see Flame go down. That's the GA as well. But Baron going over to Immortals.
Yeah, and even though Elder Drake is coming up in 10 seconds, Immortals doesn't really care about that. Team Dignitas has had that before, and it's just the one Cloud Drake that gets amplified, as well as a little bit of true damage burn, and no way of keeping the minion waves alive as they push in. So it's worth for Immortals as long as they don't overpress here as far as stalling the game, because moving up 4v5 is rather dangerous. They are going to press. This is dangerous by Immortals.
Once they hear the Elder Drake scream, they might just head towards that high road.
Exit stage left.
Lock in. Someday gets a cooldown on it. Hits the inner flame. A slow. So Dardoch is the one he might be able to catch, but the safeguard across. And they may try to chase the team out. I don't know how far this is going to go. The minion waves are in their favor for a bit of fun. Oh, Sunday hits the wall again. Just not getting around the corner for the past 2 out of 3 hooks. Unfortunate.
Oh my goodness. The winner of this match is going to playoffs, and it's going to be a while, actually. Just the way this game is playing out, because Team Dignitas does not have the mastery to play around Baron in the way that they need to bait Immortals into a fight. They've sacrificed 2 Barons over to Immortals due to poor vision skills, and it gets worse as you hit 6 items, because it's now, even though previously people have just been opting not to buy control wards, now they pretty much can't, especially when you're starting to get what'll probably be a Guardian Angel onto Chaser, and now a real item for Keen and a Haunting guys.
Yep.
But Immortals is keeping their warding trinkets going, and for now, not getting caught off. That could all change quickly, though. I mean, someday hits a squishy dude with the Dredge line instead of a wall, could be game over, right? So it's very slim margins at this stage.
I'm surprised Chaser and Cody-san haven't died yet on either side. Somehow these two have just avoided death and actually been able to put up quite a pressuring game. From the jungle for Tracer, Cody-san as well being respected now on the back line. We'll see Immortals moving themselves forward once again. I don't have much to clear other than waves as they will meet Dignitas towards the bot side of the map. 4,000 gold lead now in favor with an Elder Drake. Baron buff wearing off in 1 minute for Immortals.
You can really see the lack of vision now for Team Dignitas with which to try and do anything. They kind of have to stay together and brute force their way into one location. I think they had been strong enough to do that, but that is slipping away a little bit as both sides will start hitting 6 items and make that gold lead not matter. With no vision, they're always reacting to this, and the Weaver's Wall cuts them off again for a bit of turret damage, but they get an ult on a Pobelter, now they have to follow.
Do they hit him? Dardoch immediately back. Redemption goes down. All 5 members of Dignitas on one side as the teams regroup. Nobody's going to take too much damage, all above half besides the tree. He should gain health pretty quickly in this situation, so shouldn't be too bad off. Dignitas or Immortals decide to stay. They don't really have the waves in other lanes.
A lot of the initiation from Team Dignitas is off net right now. They have no ult on Nautilus, no ult on Varus, just the Cassiopeia ultimate, which they would want to do. You can see why Immortals would back off, though. They've come this far playing this little cat and mouse game. It actually is starting to feel like they could pull a victory from the jaws of defeat, running Team Dignitas back and forth.
We're not going to back just yet. Someday looking for any anchor toss he can get right now. It's pretty safe to say he can hit one, and then the damage they deliver to Immortals might be what they're looking for. The chance is there. He is going to take it every time. We're just waiting for the minion wave to approach once more. Immortals as well, keeping a bit separated to dodge these anchors. Not very often you can see a careless engage that tries to work every time. Immortals has to be very careful.
Yeah, I mean, you can see a very minuscule Baron power play. Immortals isn't able to do much, but that's because partially they're playing from a deficit. It actually feels like the play that Immortals can make in these games is throwing a Weaver's Wall down in front of an objective so Team Dignitas can't get it, and then just slowly doing that. Unfortunately, you can only pull that play off every 72 seconds, because that's the cooldown of the Weaver's Wall. But they've done it a few times here, chipping down that bottom lane turret, securing a random Drake with it, trying to get the Baron with it. And if they make another return performance down to the bottom side, they could probably do it. And it's because they have the vision control to do so. At this stage in the game, actually, like if you're Chaser, he's got that challenging smite. I would love him because he's probably sitting on soon will be sitting on an excess of gold. I'd want him to switch that out for a Tracker's Knife at some point to try and get a little bit more vision on the map, because right now they're literally just working off of the Eye of the Watcher and whatever control wards X Special can have, and then the 2 Farsight totems and the warding totem. That's it. No one else can place wards.
And it seems like Someday's been able to get into these fights, as we saw in the bot lane, for sure. Get himself out if necessary, if they can finally get one of these deep wards in. That's the teleport on Immortals. Gotta say they're doing a good job at still keeping defensive wards as well, to see if anybody were to come behind them, and Dignitas finally get a bit of breathing room out of their base. Once again, we're able to stave off an inhibitor takedown, but if you look at that bottom, it only means if Dignitas gets hit up on this fight, if they lose this fight, they're going to be losing the base.
Yeah, and just a cataclysmic team fight could happen for either side. The gold has gotten incredibly close. It's pretty much just Flame who's not sitting on max items. He'll be doing that shortly. He has 1,600 gold on top of his Giant's belt. Huge shielding coming out from both supports. ADs and mages are at max items.
Someday gets a Knight's Vow onto Keen.
Yeah, I really like Knight's Vow actually as a 6th item. I feel like because it's scale, it heals you for a percentage of the damage that whoever you're bonded with deals. It's actually one of the best late game items, even though it's very cheap. So I think most of these super tanks should be throwing in a Knight's Vow.
One thing they got to change about it, you have to keep the crown. You get a crown when you get it put on you. Keep the crown.
Keep it.
Feels good. Please, Riot. 92 to 89.5. Gold lead meaning nothing right now. The wall is connected. A bit of a lockdown. Does he decide to depth charge the back line?
Flame's got to get out.
Comes out as well. Locks down the team. Flame's going to be up. Is he locked down once again? Gets a flash, but a hit in. Coming in from Someday. A few more shots to Flame. He cannot participate in the fight. Dardoch has been waiting to get in to kick in. And he cannot find an entry in as well. You can see he's got a Knight's Vow also tagged onto him. And they're going to be continuing through this fight. Dardoch, the GA, could be proc. That's what Dig is looking to chase right now. But Cody Sun firing in from the side, along with the Pobelter's volleys from Talia, as everybody is so hesitant to take the full fight.
Yeah, because even if you lose one, you may lose the Baron to the other team. Team Dignitas wanted to have a clean win, but now they're just trying to move into the jungle. Flame didn't die, so even though they got his GA, he's back here at full health, and Team Dignitas is just down initiation ults for a little bit as far as trying to force this Baron. The question is, will they at one point just get fed up and say, 50-50, let's go? Because that's happened so much, and the later this game gets, the better that play actually may become, since they can't deny the vision the way they would want to. They have a better team fight team. If they force a steal, they could get it, and at the least, it probably forces Immortals in for a fight.
Coming up now, they have done it. Immortals' longest game of the split as they fight off here. A little hesitant, I'd say. We see teams towards a playoff instance say, well, we don't want to lose either. We may be in a very even position, but both teams are now in a not want to lose position, so you don't get much fighting and a lot of tempered engages.
And Team Dignitas lost a game at Baron against Cloud9 2 days ago.
Yep.
They've also been an incredibly streaky team throughout the split, winning large strings of games and losing large strings of games. And you wonder if that's affecting their mentality in this game, thinking that they've lost the game against Cloud9 because of Baron and thinking, we don't want to do that again, and therefore not being willing to pull the trigger. But this game, to me, also dictates a systemic problem for them where they do not have the coordination to properly close this out. But they start on it now. They kill it so fast, and they have Someday zoning, finally.
It's just really pulling the trigger for them. A lockdown onto Dardoch to make sure he cannot get in. There's the Baron for Dignitas. And they actually have no trouble.
Yeah, that was the play. Get the tank to stop the jungler from stealing it. You kill it in 8 seconds. They do it. Don't even have to worry about the 50-50 because they get the miasma down so Dardoch can't jump over. Now they will have to activate on it, although they're against a max item opponent because it's taken this long and both teams are nearing 100,000 gold.
So at this time, is it even too scary to split push with 5 max opponents on one side? The fight is almost impossible to yo-yo unless you stay out of siege range, really.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't think the option here for Team Dignitas is to split push. Because the fear of getting caught by a Talia while jumping across would be a little bit too high, albeit that is on cooldown right now. I think they're going to try and just run up a lane and just go through a turret. 2 GAs are up. The DPS that comes through from Kingdom Lodge is immense. We'll be on Immortals to try and stop. Probably even try and flank.
Someday, hardly taking any damage to start this one off. Chaser gets locked down in the front. Actually quite low to start this fight off. Has the GA. Dardoch looks to get it kicked in Someday, but he's already wanting to be in there. Actually kicks out Chaser. Someday anchor tosses in. Dardoch still looking for these kick targets.
Yeah.
Thought he'd hit him in.
Bending flash kick, I don't really know what he got. He didn't get anything accomplished with that. That probably the inhibitor has to be conceded.
Good use to finally open up the inhibitor. They have been backs against the wall to theirs for quite some time now, breaking 100,000 gold and breaking down the base of Immortals. They have a little bit of time to play with. Do they stay for Elder? It seems like they'll have the HP to do so. They won't get poked off as Immortals have no contest here.
Yeah, that is a small amount of power for Team Dignitas on top, but now that they have the Baron with it, it can add to it. Went back and watched Dardoch, did not get... He was either worried about Keen ulting him because he goes for a kick flash, but ends up not kicking. He kicks after and he kicks Chaser backwards, so definitely did not execute the way you'd want to. A lot of times they're kick flashing away, but anyway, that was messed up. Team Dignitas trying to go in with the Elder Drake. This could be their second inhibitor.
Someday able to do basically whatever he wants right now on Nautilus. And now the inhibitor will fall in front of Team Dignitas. Again, no contest as they go around to the objectives. Elder, as they walk back to the base, really didn't even need to back. In brute forcing through, waiting out Immortals. The game slowed Dignitas down because they don't have the wards, but somehow they've been able to find a way around not having them.
Yeah, eventually. Now at this point, you want them to go for inhibitor number 3. Immortals wave clear isn't great. You can see Cody's son actually switching over to an Infinity Edge in lieu of his boots, making sure he can get some crit in there. Just put as much punch as you can at this stage in the game.
Deciding what else to do. You can see him going through the inventory. No, Triforce, yeah, bring it back. Very interesting as they try to get full damage builds in.
He wants to keep his CDR up because it's really important, and he already sold his cooldown boots, so even though he'd probably want, like, oh, I could get another crit item and do more damage,
right.
You need the Trinity Force on Ezreal for the cooldown reduction. Or he'd go Essence Reaver.
Ooh, but starting new things.
They're trying to pick here. Against an Elder Drake team as well. Oh boy.
Corruption goes off, locks down the back side of the team. Locket goes down. That is Lot getting hit up immediately. 78 seconds on the clock. Keen now not in a good spot against Dardoch. Ole locks down Chaser. Cody's son stays alive to fire in from the back side. If he can find a target, actually gets locked out by his team. Cody very close to going down. Mantra Shield coming in from Ole at the last second. Special now trying to keep Keen alive. They can basically just walk around Immortals here. They might actually get a Nexus turret out of this if they can make it happen. Dignitas keeping the fight alive, and they will be able to grab a bit of the base. Immortals, however, come up with the kills, and if they can fight like that against Elder Drake, against the Baron, things aren't looking good for Dig.
Oh my god, that play was almost the definition of insanity, but it works out because they did not want to wait until these things were crashing down to have that fight. So they kind of felt like they had to go exactly in that moment. Even though Team Dignitas was stacking advantages, I want to see how exactly Laud fell because he still has his flash and heal up right here. Definitely caught them by surprise at the start of this one. Cody gets spotted, he ults, everyone runs for Laud. He gets just jumped on by Flame and then bursted down. He got hit by the seismic shove, I believe, from Pobelter as Cody's son was getting chased down by Keen on the side of the fight and didn't quite die. So therefore, Keen wasn't in the fight to do the DPS like you'd want a backline Cassiopeia to do, and the other huge carry died at the start of the fight, which made the Elder Drake a lot less potent because you no longer have the damage dealers wielding it. And then the chase of this fight was just still very tense because Keen did have such high health, and it bought so much time that they almost lost that second Nexus turret.
Also, Cody's son Ole almost walking over the poison. You're like, oh god. Good shields by Ole to keep everybody alive in that fight. Still, Cody's son alive, 105. Chaser has finally fallen. Zanya's for him. He's a little crazy in the fights to keep himself alive as the GA is down.
Yeah. We're only a casual 62 minutes into this game. Longest game of the split so far.
How does it end, Jat?
Yeah.
We just don't know yet. Does it end? That's the real. You got to ask the right questions. 3K gold lead. That needs to be about 30,000 to make a difference when you get this far into the game. 45 seconds onto Baron. Dig hovers the top side. It's going to be the next party zone.
Yeah, and it's definitely trending in Team Dignitas.
Advantage.
Ever so slowly. They haven't been able to pull it off cleanly. The gold lead has been about 3,000 for the last 30 minutes. But they do have the stronger 5v5 team and have had the stronger 5v5 team. And Immortals doesn't have, you know, amazing pick potential or incredible split pushing that kind of has that equal push and pull. Immortals was an early game team, but they're playing themselves to stay in this game, which has been impressive. And they're just hoping to find the surprise picks onto Keen and Laud.
Little tank-on-tank action shield to Flame as they get him out. Dardoch can easily get himself the safety. Almost turned that around, though. He's been very good at getting those safeguards past the dredge line of Someday. The wards behind red give Dardoch a little bit of room to play with. And now it's the ward wars going on inside Baron.
Yeah, Flame has teleport, but if he leaves, they lose the second Nexus turret because he's not actually able to clear these out as fast as he would like. Dardoch wants to go for a steal. This might not actually be the right call, but they're going to go for it anyway.
Sonic Wave's going to wear off. He's got 2 wards in to go for. Turret's going to go down. They're not going to be able to stop that Nexus.
All Team Dignitas has to do is wait, which is why Immortals is actually trying to do the Baron, because they need to do the Baron, get this fight over and get back.
They kick Keen out, can't get the right hit. Chaser takes down the Baron, and they look to drop Immortals now. The minions have done the work in the base. Now Dignitas just has to finish. Flame comes back up. Flash is only seconds away. And that's what he needed to get out alive and help the team. Dignitas looks for the Nexus.
Yeah, the inhibitors actually respawned, but now that it is a 4v5, you have a hard time seeing Immortals be able to repel this push.
Flame did what he could on the backside to push out the minions. You can only ask so much from the tank on the top side, and now Dignitas will follow theirs someday back into the base as they take down the inhibitor and have the Nexus in their eyes. Top does not even need to be hit by Dignitas. Minions flowing into the base now, and Dardoch goes for his last-ditch effort. Lock gets in, Soul Flare to the backside. Belter and Dardoch very low. Chaser back up as the True Shot Barrage passes through the entire team of Dignitas, but they're still healthy, ready to take down Game 1 and bring it to Game 2 against Immortals.
17 seconds shy of a 65-minute game. Team Dignitas now 1 game away from clinching their playoff berth, but you can tell they're not exactly thrilled with the way that one played out. They had the upper hand for a very long time and were dangerously close to losing it on multiple occasions. Team Dignitas wants to play it cleaner, but they should be happy with that win.
We were on the roller coaster for quite a long time there. Yeah. Some say the brakes went out for a bit, but we were able to stop the train at the end as it came back to Baron. Back to those objectives, back to pressuring a team when you could get them in the right spot, because as we saw, it wasn't done with pressuring with vision this time.
No, it definitely wasn't. And eventually they just got the gusto to force. And they slowly whittled away at objectives throughout it. I mean, they had such a superior team fight composition that you wonder why it took that long to get there. Even that, though, doesn't even talk about the earlier parts of the game, which Immortals had control over. So these teams still very evenly matched, and this game doesn't tell us much about who's going to win the series.
Very true. So for a deeper dive into that marathon game, let's check in with the analysts.
Thank you very much, Riv. Marathon game is exactly right, and both of these teams have at least one more marathon to run coming up here, Games 2, possible Game 3. Dignitas here with the victory in Game 1. Fitting that both of you chose the opposing teams, as it was very back and forth.
I chose the correct team, though.
But hey, our series is not done yet. Should be noted. Kobe chose the correct team. No, but what I want to do here is, given the fact that you both voted for opposing teams, is kind of get your assessment, check against yourselves what you thought would happen, how did the team measure up to that, maybe what you might change going into Game 2. For your team. So start with
well, most of the things that we did predict to come actually did come about. I mean, we had Dardoch ups and downs, some big plays, sometimes going too deep and giving away some kills. Then Chaser was really good. I don't believe he even died there until the very end, maybe. But Chaser definitely went off with the team. It got a little scary there for Team Dignitas in the late game, as we were expecting as well.
You talked about Chaser playing well. Let's take a look at the final team fight here, because he will secure the Baron amidst all of it, so big on him for that. But Immortals, let's talk about the Immortals' decision-making here, Mark.
Right, I really don't like going for such a risky Baron contest. I mean, Dignitas played this well. They pulled off when there's like 5,000-6,000 health, so Immortals have to go super hard to even try and make a play on this. Their base is going down. They blew the teleport way too early. I think they shouldn't even bother with the teleport, just back off, give up the Baron, and let your inhibs respawn, deal with the minion waves, and then try and pick a fight before you start losing those inhibitors again. We saw them make a good play in the top side previously when they had to defend their last inhibitor. I would have rather seen another attempt like that than forcing so hard around the Baron buff. And they all end up in the pit because they need to be the ones doing damage, and then it's too easy for Dignitas to clean them up.
The 50-50 smite is there. Dardoch a little too quick on it. But even if you win that smite, I don't see you coming out with a one fight there on the side of Immortals, since both of your tanks are now inside the pit.
He was trying to kick out Chaser. Keen and a lot of members were stacked on top of each other, ended up kicking out Keen instead of Chaser there, so Chaser was still around to land the smite. But yeah, exactly. The risks that you guys are talking about are very high. I do kind of see at that point in the game, this game had gone over 60 minutes.
You got to pull
and your base is dying to minions, and you're like, all right, let's move it along here, boys.
Right.
remember that how they got to this point, though, they actually were able to sneak that Baron super early on. The first Baron of the game was Immortals, taking it from Team Dignitas blind. So you're asking me about improvements for Team Dignitas, even though they did have a victory.
Yeah.
Attention to detail is definitely one of them, especially after they got that, mid-game lead. The lapse in vision that they had was very traumatic for a lot of the viewers watching, and that gave way to why the games went so long.
I mean, even after having double inhib down, right, we saw a couple kind of funky kills go over in the top lane, extends the game even a little bit more. So again, yeah, I guess for Dignitas, we're looking for cleanliness, of course. Now, on the side of Immortals, we talked about Dardoch, and we expected to see more of the same, right? He can make some really great plays for you. He can also hand kills back just as quickly as he gets them.
Right, and this one's especially tough given the fact that the bot lane was already crushing. It was a cute play there trying to bait out the flash early with the ward hop closer to him. Doesn't end up working out, and then he takes the Q, and that's fine. But the flash in by all is where this goes too far. Chaser was able to mark Dardoch for a decent part in the early game, and they're able to see him turn it around. That was a horrible position to give up a kill. Once again, trying to play around his bot lane, which is winning. Goes over the wall, bumps right into Chaser, who has that challenging smite, able to blow him up instantly, basically. Stops all the aggression around the bot lane again. But Dardoch's, a very aggressive player, not going to be deterred because a couple went wrong. Able to set up Keen for a kill later on in the game. So overall, the jungle battle, I think, went kind of how we expected it. It was a question of if Chaser could punish Dardoch, and he was able to do so in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the examples, too. I mean, even the one in the bottom lane, it's a good idea from Dardoch, and they almost get it's like 25 life or something from getting that kill, and then after the initial 25 life basically is still left there, and the play kind of fails, he's like, make that work, and you just go that extra mile to try and shove it a little bit too far, and that's where a lot of the backlash comes from.
Right, so I mean, looking at Immortals, their bot lane did win pretty hard, which is something we said that we expected to happen. On the top side, you said someday, obviously, better than Flame, had like a 30 CS lead as well. So kind of went how we expected it to. All
right, well, that's good to hear. Player of the game, Chaser, this time around. As we were looking at that jungle matchup, he did get the better of Dardoch this time around. Let's look at game 2, and from a champion perspective, I mean, again, you put Dardoch on Lee Sin, one of his most comfortable champions, playmaking champion, and you got Chaser on Kha'Zix able to deal with him. Is there another route that Immortals can go to find more success, coming out of the early game?
The untold story of this game so far, actually, has been the fact that Talia Pick did nothing in the early game. It was mostly pressured in by Keen. Once Chaser turned it for a kill when they dove him. The second time, Keen goes for the solo dive and gets turned around. Pobelter gets a kill. I think while that's nice that kind of happened, the Talia Pick definitely needs to make stuff happen in the early game. So you either ditch that pick and give Pobelter more of a team fight champion because it got heavily outclassed by Cassiopeia in the late game, or actually execute on your game plan.
I agree. I think if you're looking at, this is probably going to turn into another long slugfest, then they would want a little bit more scaling there. I don't think it's a bad team comp or bad draft from Immortals, because you can play that to the early game roaming like Mark was talking about. It's just that if you don't, Cassiopeia is obviously going to take over later on, and Team Dignitas did a good job using that.
Of course, the majority of the game, Dignitas was at least in possession of the gold lead, but I do think that graph there very much illustrates the possibility of the series going to either team, right? Both teams had their dips and, their peaks and their valleys within this game itself. And then at the end of the day, it seemed like in the late game portions, Dignitas' team composition dealing a little bit better with, burning through tanks at the full 6-item builds, and then having kind of the map pressure and presence for the late game to deal with the objectives.
Right, this is the kind of case where if a couple of those Dardoch plays don't get stopped by Chaser, maybe the bot lane runs away with this game and takes it over. Similarly, if, Dignitas cleans up their macro play a little bit at the end of the game, they don't give up those kills at the very end.
And it ends 30 minutes sooner, maybe?
Yes, potentially. Yeah. That'd be great.
Who knows? Either way, we're going to step away for just a moment, but these teams are headed for round 2 in just a few minutes. Immortals versus Team Dignitas continues after the break.
Sure, it's going to go down. They're not going to be able to stop that Nexus.
All Team Dignitas has to do is wait, which is why Immortals is actually trying to do the Baron, because they need to do the Baron, get this fight over, and get back.
They kick Keen out, can't get the right hit. Chaser takes down the Baron, and they look to drop Immortals now. The minions have done the work in the base. Now Dignitas just has to finish. Flame comes back up. Flash is only seconds away, and that's what he needed to get out alive and help the team. Dignitas looks for the Nexus.